Hi, I'm Bob with Wolfe Ridge. Today we're going to make kindling inside the building using this Fuelwood Kindlet Pro running on 3-phase electricity. This Fuelwood Kindlet is the last one from our first container that got here in September. And this one is heading out to a new home in Ohio. It will be running off of 3-phase electricity. We did have to make some modifications to get this to work correctly here in the US market. And I'm going to show you guys what we ended up doing. You may know that these are made in the United Kingdom. So these are running off of 415 volts and 50 hertz. And here in the United States, we're running 480 volts, 3-phase, 60 hertz. So what we had to do was install a VFD in between the control box and the motor of this Kindlet. And I'll show you guys how this looks over here. This is the motor that powers the hydraulics on this Kindlet. And the tank actually has the hydraulic pump inside of it. It's a submerged pump, which is an interesting configuration. Basically now, this control box up front will engage the VFD, which is mounted here on the back, and then the VFD will put out the correct voltage to this motor. And we have a nice soft start setup, so when we turn this on, the motor slowly accelerates into the right speed, and everything works as it should. Right now, this Kindlet is set up to do 8-inch lengths, so you can see we've got some rounds here. This distance from here to here is a little bit over 8 inches, so we could put an 8-inch length in here. These are about 7.5-inch length, and you can see there's still adjustment left on this fence here. So we could do 10-inch lengths, or if we go all the way, we would do 11.5-inch lengths. Under the hood here, you've got the X knife that goes back and forth, and every time that this cycles back and forth, that infeed belt will advance as well. And we can change the size of our firewood or our kindling just by turning this knob here. And today I want to make kindling with this thing. We've been making a lot of mini-wood with these. Today I actually want to make some kindling out of this maple that we're running. And here again you can see how we've got this, this chute is adjustable. It's expandable, or we can contract it too. So right now we're set to that 8-inch length, and if we go narrower, we'd be at 6-inch. Here would be the 10-inch, and here would be 11.5-inch. And if you do want to change to those different sizes, you have to change this plate in and out, and then also the belt. So you can see that that belt right now is only 8 inches wide, and then it goes up against that fence, and then there's no belt here. We are working on getting some custom bag sizes for these machines, but we do have these kindling bags that we got from Northern Woodsman, and they fit pretty decent over the chute. There's a little bit of slack there, so basically what we'll do is, as this is building up, we will grab the kindling from there and stuff it into this bag, and then we can drop that bag down. All right, Nick's gonna do the honors. We rotate the E-stop and it'll pop out, and we hit the start button. You can hear the cooler fan start up, and obviously the motor for the hydraulics. And each time the X blade cycles, the wood advances. So right now, there's nothing being split because we've got to take up the slack, if you will, till we get to the knife. Now, when we first start these machines up, as it builds up a pile there, the first few splits are usually going to want to, they will want to kick sideways like they are right now. But we've got this set pretty small right now also, so we can make some actual kindling with it. And we can change the size. If we want the kindling to be smaller, we'll go down a little bit here. So this is good to show actually. Right now, a piece kind of went sideways and then popped up. And when that happens, it'll pop out the door on this. So it popped open the door and it stopped production. And I'll open up and look what's going on in here. And you can see that if I lift this up, you can see there's a piece that went kind of sideways. So what I'm gonna do now is make sure that we can close the door. And basically what I did was I kind of hit down on this a couple times to make that wood piece go down. we'll close the door. And then we have down here the override button. So what we'll do, we'll start it up and hold the override button at the same time and then hit the stop button. The override button will bring the cylinder back home. So now we've got the cylinder back in the home position and we'll be able to clean this out. Open this back up, flip this up, and there's our problem child. And now I did have this set very small, so look at the kindling that we're making right now. This is all pretty small stuff. But now we can try to push these back in here, and then we can also try to put this back in here, and we'll see what it does. So why don't we go up to 7, and that'll give us a little bit of a bigger split size. We'll see where it goes from there. All right, I want to talk about these two sizes that we got so far. I had the dial set on 3 at first, and this is what we were producing with number 3, with it set on number 3. And now we're set on number 7. So you can see we're getting a little bit bigger split sizes here. We are using some smaller diameter rounds. We have a little bit of, probably a little bit too much play in our length here. So if we had these a little bit tighter, that would split a little bit easier in that chamber. But that's something to keep in mind. You know, this is an 8-inch, it's like 8 1/4 inch here, so 8-inch would be ideal, and we're about 7 1/2, 7 1/4. So we have a little bit of extra play in this split chamber during operation. But right now I'm going to turn this thing up to number 10, and we will see what kind of split sizes we get. All right, guys, if we open this, if we open the hood, the machine stops. Obviously, this is getting away from me here, but let me show you what kind of split sizes we're looking at here with it set on number 10. So grab a few of these. You can see this built up quite a bit. So what you want to do is kind of grab from here and push down into your collection device, which right now is the floor. But here we've got these split sizes to show you number 10. And I'll line these up with the ones on top of the machine here so you can see. So again, right here we've got setting number 3, setting number 7, setting number 10. We're back on setting number 10, and we cut some of the rounds now at exactly 8 inches, and they're fitting and behaving in here a lot nicer now. So let's turn this thing back on. there's only a few rounds left in here now in this infeed area. So we're going to turn this thing all the way up and see how big the last split will be. Well, I really misjudged what was left in here. So these were the only ones I got from that maximum size. And I can grab a tape measure here to show you, but they look like they're about 2.5 by 2.5 squares. Now, you're not always going to get identical output with this thing because as the wood has different shapes, different heights, different diameters, you know, if you've got it set to the biggest setting like this, you'll still get some of this and likely some of this as well. So I've got a big mix of stuff on the floor here from going back and forth with that knob. You can see the pile that we got here, and we also made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is there 8? No. So there's 7 1 cubic foot bags here, plus those 2 kindling bags there. These are stuffed bigger than they would be with a cubic foot of regular firewood in them. And I'd have to look to see how much time we have running this machine. Now, of course, this was the first time running this machine today, so we've got a little bit of adjustment to do. We're going to make it so the wedge comes out a little bit further. Right now, it's not splitting all the way through, so sometimes it has the tendency to want to pull the wood back, and if the wood is cut too short, it'll want to flip it around. So these are things to just keep in mind when you're running these kindlets. All right, I'll measure these quick for you guys. So just under 2 inch, just under 2 inch, 2.5, 2 1/8, and then we've got our other setting here. This was when we were set to number 10 on that dial. This is when we were set to number 7 on the dial. And this is when we were set to number 3 on the dial. It's kind of hard to do this. I know the tape's upside down with my left hand, but that's how this will work. A couple things today. This maple tree was cut down about 3 days ago and then cut and split and then brought in here. So we do have some friction grabbing here, and we got the new paint on the wedge. I'm not trying to make excuses for the machine, but that is a factor on this. Again, if you go back and watch some of Dan from Back 40's videos, you'll see the same thing happen with his new Kindlet 200. It would want to twist the wood around, and after the original paint starts to wear off of that wedge, you end up with a lot less friction and resistance. So we ran into that a few times today on this. When things go sideways, basically they'll end up opening and closing this lid really quickly, and that shuts the machine down. So then you have time to investigate, see what's going on in there, and then restart the machine. And it's really a safe machine to use, and it's really pretty easy to use. You do have to move fast. That is one thing that running this machine, you almost need an extra or 2 extra people, because the infeed is going down at such a pace that the wood is coming out, and you can't bag and reload the infeed at the same time. So you'll be turning the machine on and off a lot, which is fine, but that's just something to think about when you get a machine like this. It is serious about production. We do have more of these leaving the UK in December in multiple configurations. We have the Kindlet 200 in PTO and electric. We've got the Kindlet Pro in PTO and electric. We will have a gas engine developed next, since we've got this 3-phase electric option done now for the Kindlet Pro. And I'll have this information on the website as well, with pricing and all the configuration. If you'd like more information on any of the Wolfe Ridge products or the Fuelwood kindlets, please check out our website, www.wolferidgemfg.com. There you can find all pricing, tech specs, videos, photos, dealer locator, and more. I want to thank you guys for watching. As always, thank you for the support. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on what's next at Wolfe Ridge.